Hello everybody, thank you for joining us. Today we're going to draw seams and creases between fingers on the hand. We're talking about these things here, and we're talking about these things here. Now we have briefly touched upon them in other videos, but that's only when we were making it part of the anatomy. So this is actually a request from one of our awesome viewers, and we're going to see if we can do some justice here to this request. So let's draw some seams between fingers. For that we're going to really let's actually do it this way. I think exploring three fingers and the thumb should be sufficient for this exercise. So when we're talking about the thumb, we're talking about the bulkiest digit on the hand, and usually the shape ends up being something like that. So we're looking at it from the side right now, and from the side, which is where I think both parts of the seam will appear, we are going to, let's say, determine the area. So right there, this and this is where the creases or the thumb lines or the seams will go. So the easiest way to do this is, because there's no rhythm to the seams, they are what you call a concentrated gathering of the skin between on our digits. So on the thumb, if we just go like put in random, like let's imagine sort of a straighter lightning bolt. So lightning bolt, and then kind of like tapers off at the end like this. So this one going right in there, and then another one coming in like this. But what we have to make sure of is that the ends here, for each crease or line that is coming up, we have to have a slight bulkier arc here at the end, and that is very, very important to getting it more accurate. And I think that will be enough for the thumb. And then within those seams we have some additional lines. So perhaps at the end here, a tertiary like coming off, and then quite often we have lines going like back and forth again, like no well, there is a sort of a rhythm actually, because there seems to be a flow still, like in the way they go. For instance, like this one coming right here, and then we could have like, there's like some which are a little sharper. Let's say this is a little sharper, this is a little lighter. So these are the little what you call lines within the lines, or lines on top of the lines. So this one tapering off here, if we keep it very light, because subtlety is the key. If you check out some crosshatch artwork, I think that might also help, but we'll add in our own crosshatch here to make this work. And then at this end, let's say that we can like see the thumb right there. Let's add like two folds there, fold of skin here. Let's say the thumb is like a little bit like bent, something like that. And so we have the first one. Most of the time I think it goes like that, and if we like really magnified it would be like that. So between this area, between the two folds, is like that. But then of course it's a little smooth, and then it has the feeling of being like filled in when you go to the telescopic view, or pull away from it. And then of course we have the more prominent line around which the thumb bends, And that is again the right here we have like a concentration of line work, and then in certain cases a bit of the crease ends up here as well, not as long as prominent as this, but it is there. And sometimes this crease is more prominent in the hands, so if you can just like highlight one of them a little more, make it a little more deeper, it works. And maybe have one accompanying one like that, and then the other ones you'll have to just balance out as we go back and forth. Now the nature of each hand is different, so we are talking about like this is necessarily a male hand when it comes to creases. The rules are not like that different, and we will explore, if you wish, other let's say like a female hand as well, and we will see maybe if it is wildly different. Well, I mean, it's more delicate. It has that more delicate, more streamlined feel always. It's more graceful, let's say, and we have to what we say go accordingly. So this one here now, we are doing one of the fingers. So we go like that first, like just like put down a sort of a rough outline for the finger. And this is, when the finger is like, let's say, like slightly bent. So there's like, always that little concentration of skin in between the joints, and we're going to have to work the seams in. So again, prominent seam going like so. So let's make it like two lines. So again, if you magnify it, it's something like this. Again, like something like that between the two folds. And then in here you could perhaps have like a slightly tapering off line here and there. And that's not true for every finger, but it's probably true for a lot of fingers that we have out there. And then again, right around where these, like the finger like bends, like this one, again, more prominent. So one line definitely shows prominent, but again, it's really a concentration of 2 or 3 lines together, and that's why it has this very thick and filled in feel to it. I'm going to just check the camera angle for a second. Okay, we're good. Now, when we are, again, if we were to work this properly, so most of the time around this joint here, this more prominent one goes in, and then from the other end, same exercise as this pretty much, except that there won't be as many like bulkier creases. Like the creases are I'm saying in comparison to the thumb, the creases are not as bulky, but I mean they are, of course, like they're there. And then the important thing is that they're like this, like a heart shape. So the thumb's also heart shape, but really like big heart. That is not necessarily going like that, like it's not going like that. Here we have to, most of the time anyways, this joint here, pretty much in all of the fingers, it has to be a heart shape like that. So you could perhaps determine that heart shape here. I'm talking about the middle joint, not this one. This one is different. This one is like slightly more boxy or like an oval. But this one, a heart shape, so that you could concentrate the creases going inward like that. So they'll go inward, and then of course, just like here, like there'll be some stray lines around them, and there'll be like creases inside them. And we're going to highlight these in a second with a pen, and you will be able to see this like a little more clearly. We can add, of course, then there's the other accompanying stray crease right there. and pretty much the same exercise here. But here, these creases, even if the finger is like bent, are less because there's like lesser concentration of flesh toward the tip. The tip looks a little off there. Let's say that that was our nail. So here, again, the best thing is to have the creases end up with some like round, particular round shapes at the end of the line that is going toward the top of the finger. So that is pretty much it, and we're going to do a quick third one, and that is only to illustrate that so we're going to, of course, this is a thank you for requesting this, and I hope like this is of some help. But when we are doing these, we have to explore like different angles. So different perspective as well, because we have to do another video for bent fingers and creases around them, how they appear, and that'll be a different exercise altogether. So right now, why we also did an additional finger is because the creases on this one, again, the same heart shape principle. So it's actually a tulip shape because heart shape would be like that. So we have a straight oval end here, so that is like a tulip shape, and then quickly like a streamlined crease right there, or if you want to call it like a finger line, and then slightly more prominent like skin fold there, going into this deep crease. And then very often at the bottom of the finger, there's something that I actually forgot here. So when we are coming back in, there's always, usually in majority of the hands, an accompanying crease here that just goes away right around the hand. So let me see here. Hands are actually rough from little work here, but see, it's right there. So one, and then there's the second. And usually that is on all fingertips. So let's make sure that we have that as well. And then of course we have the tip of the finger, the nail, and we put in the crease here, and we're doing a little quicker here on this one. And then this area, you could just copy this over really and try to have the lines come inward. And then certain lines again going back and forth, certain lines like doubling up, or tertiary like breaking off, like that. And in certain fingers, there are certain hands in which this particular aspect is also visible somewhere around here, but ever so slightly. And that's again in some of the hands. I have like seen that, but we can make do without it. But this has to be characteristically there. And there we have it. So quick exercise and getting some creases down. Let us put some marker here so that we can show this a little more clearly. We're going to just go into the lines here. So right here are those, let's call them like prolonged like tulip shapes with these scattered lines in between. If you see like inking artists, so if you, I think, source artwork of one John Corbin, he is he draws for the comic books, but his work is like astounding, like the detail. And he, since his work is all comprised of line work, like it's all lines, if there are any shots, if you are lucky to see some shots that show the an up close view of a hand shot, then you will see that he attempts to put in all the details, and they can really work for you. So there's a prominent line thickened up, one or two lines thickened up, and that's it. Now when we're talking about this level of details, we have to understand that we are also talking about accompanying details, so fading lines around, in many cases fading lines like this around the hand, and then we're talking about many a time some parallel lines, or in this case if you're standing, if the finger is standing and we're looking at it that way, vertical lines, and then we have lines in between, so very subtle crosshatch. Sometimes in some of the hands we might have to adhere to these things as well if we are going into this level of detail. And of course, for that effect, we will concentrate the crosshatch here, and then fade out as we are coming upward, and here it'll just become very distinct or not visible at all. So same thing goes for the thumb here. So just highlighting the folds or the creases in this case, and that is how it usually comes across. So there we have it, quick exercise in working with these finger lines or creases, and we will explore additional angles, but please do try them out. And till we have other videos on anatomy of the hands, so please do check that out as well. One thing that we should mention, and I think is very important, is that when we are finally putting the tones in, some artists tend to go into such detail that they will fill in, if there's a light source, let's say falling from above, they will fill in into the creases like this, right around the bulge. So lighter on the top here, darker toward the bottom, and then leaving a little light at the bottom of the curvature of each shape. I think you can see this more clearly here. So, and of course, then they will fill in the rest of the hand, as it absorbs the light source and how the skin folds appear in absence or in presence of that particular light. So, just putting in some tones right there, right around the bulge. And then concentrated tones here in that more prominent crease or finger line. And there we have it. So a quick exercise in putting down lines between the fingers or creases. So we have other videos which feature on this on different aspects of anatomy of the hand, so please do check them out as well. We put out content pretty much every day, so please subscribe, keep in touch. Thank you for watching, and have yourself a wonderful day.